Welcome back to continuing the discussion, Genesis chapter 44. Genesis 43 gives us a lot to wrestle with if we slow down and really listen to the layers underneath. It's more than a reunion in Egypt. It's a moment heavy with pressure, uncertainty, pride, and divine setup. And the more we look at the background of this chapter, the more we realize that every word carries weight. Let's start with Judah, with Judah's transformation, because this is the chapter where he really steps into something new. He's not just one of the brothers anymore. He becomes a leader. In verse 8, he says to Jacob, "Send the boy with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die." But the key moment is when he offers his own life as a pledge. In the Near Eastern world, family honor was central. So for Judah to say, essentially, "I'll carry the shame forever if I fail," that's huge. The Hebrew word here is het, translated blame or sin, shows us he's not just talking about a little guilt. He's taken on full responsibility. The kind of burden that in Hebrew thinking stays with you unless someone else lifts it. That's the same kind of language used in temple sacrifice, which makes you wonder, is Judah foreshadowing something even bigger here? Now let's talk about the Egyptian banquet. The scene seems simple. Joseph prepares a meal, the brothers arrive, and Benjamin gets 5 times the portion. But this is packed with cultural meaning. First, Egyptians eating separately from Hebrews isn't just about racism. In verse 32 says, Egyptians could not eat with Hebrews, for it was detestable to Egyptians. The word here, tu'eba, is the same word used elsewhere in the Torah to describe abominations or religious taboos. In ancient Egyptian religious systems, eating with foreigners, especially shepherding tribes like the Hebrews, was considered unclean. It wasn't about manners, it was about ritual boundaries. So the fact that Joseph prepares a feast at all and does it with such generosity breaks every social expectation. He's honoring these men who once betrayed him, and he's doing it within the system that doesn't even recognize their worth. And then there's Benjamin's portion. Why 5 times more? In Egyptian culture, 5 was a number tied to divine favor and completeness. It was associated with the 5 sacred principles of Ma'at: truth, balance, order, harmony, and justice. Whether or not Joseph is using that symbolism unconsciously, the audience of the day would have recognized it. Giving Benjamin 5 portions isn't just about generosity, it's a signal. This is the favored one. And Joseph is watching carefully to see how the other brothers will react. Will they get jealous like they did with him, or have they truly changed? Another key layer here is the emotional restraint in this chapter. Joseph is holding back tears again. He's overwhelmed by seeing Benjamin, but he steps out of the room to weep privately. In ancient literature, especially in Mesopotamian and Egyptian texts, kings and officials were often portrayed as stoic, composed, above human emotion. Yet here we see Joseph's humanity bleeding through his royal image. It reminds us that even power doesn't erase pain, and that is restoration, real, meaningful, and reconciliation. It takes time. Joseph isn't rushing it. He's testing it, waiting for the right moment. Now think about Jacob back home. He doesn't know what's happening in Egypt, but he's caught in this tension between fear and faith. He's already lost Joseph, he thinks. He's lost Simeon, and now he's being asked to let go of Benjamin too. What do you do when it feels like God is asking you to surrender everything you've got left? This chapter doesn't give an answer, but it does give us a pattern. Judah steps up, Benjamin is protected, Joseph provides, and God's plan keeps unfolding quietly, faithfully, beneath the surface. There's also something to be said about divine irony. Years ago, Joseph's brothers stripped him of his robe and threw him in a pit. Now he's clothing them in hospitality and filling their sacks with grain. The reversal is subtle but powerful. And it reminds us that redemption in the Bible isn't just personal, it's poetic. Even the steward in verse 23 says, "Your God, the God of your father, has given you treasure in your sacks." That's unexpected. An Egyptian servant naming the Hebrew God, it could suggest Joseph had been talking about his God in the household. Or it might be a literary hint that God's hand was openly guiding everything, even through the mouths of foreigners. There's one last thread we need to tug on, the theme of testing. This whole chapter is a setup for what's coming. Joseph hasn't revealed himself yet because he's testing their loyalty, their grief, and their unity. Testing in Hebrew is nasa, the same word used in Genesis 22 when God tests Abraham. It means to prove something by fire, to see what it's really made of. So when you put all of this together, Genesis 43 isn't just a midpoint in Joseph's story. It's a chapter about tension held in trust, about identity being sifted through time, and about love, brotherly love, being reborn. Not all at once, but little by little, in moments of courage, restraint, and quiet grace. Thank you so much for sitting with me through this chapter. These quiet, reflective moments in the Word are where transformation often begins. If anything stirred in you, if you saw something new or were reminded of something true, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments so we can keep learning from each other. This isn't just a study, it's a shared journey, and your voice matters. I'm grateful for you, and I pray you carry the peace, wisdom, and courage that Joseph showed as you move through your own life this week. Stick with me for the next chapter. Things are unfolding. It's really, really exciting. We'll see you tomorrow.